Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakwakadash. Double honors and salutations to others and apostles of greatness to who rule well. And the sincere Akim doing the work of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai with all sincerity and diligence of mind. So I'm going to go into a topic of a video I just saw a while ago. It's concerning America's monetary system, its financial system. All right, it's all based on diverse weights, and the Mosai talks about diverse weights being an abomination unto him. So I'm going to go into the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 25, and it says, "Thou shalt not have in thy bag diverse weights, a great and a small." So it doesn't matter how big or little it is, man, you gotta be on point with whatever you do. You can't be dealing with falsities, all right? If you're a businessman, you're a man that travels and all that stuff, you got a market, you got a table, you gotta learn how to be honest. That's exactly what the Lord Yabashim Yarashai is talking about. Let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. Otherwise, you're gonna start having troubles. And then verse 14 says, "Thou shalt not have in thine house diverse measures, a great and a small." Alright. So you know how it is, man. You go to the store, you tell them you need about 25 grams or ounces of flour or whatever. And then before you know it, the weight is loaded with some bull crap. And then the flour, with the pack less flour, but the scale looks as if it's equal to the weight that you ordered, but it doesn't work that way, you know. So they're just basically robbing people, even with the exchanges, for gold to be converted into a so-called currency or into another precious metal, or to another good. It's got to be done the right way. But verse 15 also says, but thou shalt have a perfect and just weight. A perfect and just measure shalt thou have, that thy days may be lengthened in the land which the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kwakwadash, thy power giveth thee. Alright? So that's it. That's what the Most High has commanded, that we should be honest in our business dealings. Alright, and then verse 16 says, "For all that do such things and all that do unrighteously are an abomination unto the Lord Yahweh thy power." So the Most High has some qualms with the Edomite Empire, man. Because Esau's system is based on falsities, it's based on falsehoods. The doctrine of his financial system is false. Alright. So the Most High hates Esau for that reason, among many others. Alright. So I'll play this video. It's about a former Federal Reserve Chairman, Paul Volcker.
It's the Real News Network, and I'm Greg Wilpert coming to you from Baltimore. Former Federal Reserve Chairman Paul Volcker is in the news again at 91 because he's scheduled to release his memoir next week titled "Keeping at It: The Quest for Sound Money and Good Government." Paul Volcker first took on an important public role as Undersecretary of the Treasury for International Monetary Affairs from 1969 to 74 during the Nixon administration, where he's said to have been instrumental in moving.
Yep. So that's a long time ago, man. That's about over 40 years ago, the time before the majority of brothers in GMS were born. So this old man has been working for the elites ever since, man. So, he knows the ins and outs of the game, so he's been very instrumental in making sure that their policy goes forward. So the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is going to destroy America for one of these, for this very reason. Not just not just because of this alone, but it's just one of the major reasons. All right, because of the corruption when it comes to the money system. So the Lord has a controversy with the land. The elites have used America as a front, to enrich themselves. And then they put their front men in all these different government organizations to play their tune, and to make sure they pull the wool over the people's eyes. So almost let's say all government agencies, man, are basically controlled by stooges for the elites. So those that choose not to do their will, they push them aside. They make their life complicated. So it's just one big dog and pony show how the elites like to, flex their muscles. So I play this video some more, brothers, we get a clear idea of the points I'm making. But the scriptures will make the perfect points.
The U.S. off the gold standard in 1971. President Jimmy Carter then appointed Volcker as Federal Reserve Chairman in 1979, and President Ronald Reagan reappointed.
Yeah, so the presidents do not decide who they're going to appoint. The folks that pull the strings tell the president what to do. So he has no say in who he's going to be choosing for specific key positions. You know, every other thing else, he just giving a list of people to pick from.
Appointed him in '83. During his tenure at the Fed, Volcker was credited with defeating double-digit inflation.
So you got three Federal Reserve chairmen. You got Volcker in the middle. You got Alan Greenspan, and you got Ben Bernanke. Helicopter Ben. Hey, they're all Edomites, man. So you can imagine what the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is gonna do to a place like this, man. And to me, they're all Amalekites, man. That's all they are. So the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai understands, perfectly how America is gonna go down. So I can't shouldn't worry about your finances because your finances not gonna deliver you in these last days.
In the United States, when the Fed raised interest rates to 20% and induced a very powerful recession. Much later, in 2009, Barack Obama appointed him chairman of the Economic Recovery Advisory Board, and in this capacity he proposed a rule that would later come to be known as the Volcker Rule, which was incorporated into the Dodd-Frank financial regulations. Joining me now to discuss Paul Volcker's approach to the economy is Bill Black. Bill is a white-collar criminologist, former financial regulator, and associate professor of economics and law at the
And for Akim that are familiar with accounting, when you become a forensic accountant, you're beginning to trace how the money is being moved into corporations, different type of investment vehicles, things like that. Stocks and bonds. How to read certain articles from a different perspective, and then how to contact people that have some insider opinion on what's going on, and then from there you make your investments. That's the way it works. It's folks that are on the inside that make a lot of money, and they have the best technology for trading. The closer you are to the stock market, the more money you can make than someone that's 200 miles away. So they got these high-tech supercomputers, so they're just making money hands over fists. All right. So just let you know that the elites, they've thought of several different ways of how to make money in any direction that the market travels. And, they write the rules, they decide who's going to be the so-called head of a stock exchange, who the folks are going to be trading, you know, folks got to, find a way in. So they have people, they've approved to hold certain key positions.
the University of Missouri, Kansas City. He is also the author of the book, The Best Way to Rob a Bank is to Own One. Thanks for joining us today, Bill.
Thank you.
So the New York Times also just conducted an extensive interview with Paul Volcker on the occasion of the publication of his.
So you see what it says there. At 91 years old, it says he sees hell of a mess in every direction. So what does that mean, man? It means that the economic collapse is coming. It sees the demise of America. So he's an insider, old man. You know, spreading his last words. So it's going to be beautiful to see the prophecies of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, but Hashem Rakwakadash come to pass because the elites know what's going on. So that's why, the Lord reveals the secrets, to his servants on the highways and byways. Yeah, so it's important I can, stay in tune with these financial news stations.
Of his memoir. And in the course of the interview, Volcker says, quote, the central issue is we're developing into a plutocracy. What do you think of this observation?
Plutocracy. America was already a plutocracy, man, before I was born. You know, even before then, man, even the 1800s. All those rich families that control, you know, Congress, the Senate, and all that stuff. It's always been that way. So it's not as if it just happened overnight. So for Mr. Volker to say that, he's just, making fun of the American people because they've called American people gullible.
And in what ways have his own views helped or hindered this development?
Okay, so first, in the interest of full disclosure, one of the blurbs on my book is from Paul Volcker. So people need to know that potential conflict. I think one of the most important things that Volcker has done is, as someone who lived among the plutocrats and was perceived by many people as acting on behalf of the plutocrats, he's called them out. And this isn't the first time, but clearly this is designed as his last word because he's apparently in quite ill health, and hence the moving up of the publication deadline to try to make sure that it comes out while he's.
Well, who cares, man? It's just that the power of Yabashima Shah is being shown, man. All this Edomite stuff, turned America upside down, turned the whole world upside down, destroyed countries, lives, and families, orchestrated wars. Now they want to write a book, so the Mosai is not having that, man. So I'm just going to pull up a scripture from the book of Isaiah. Actually, you know what? Yeah, from the book of Isaiah. So I'm going to read from verse, actually, chapter 24. So it says, behold, the Lord Yahweh maketh the earth empty, and maketh it waste, and turneth it upside down, and scattereth abroad the inhabitants thereof. Alright, so just imagine that's America, the whole land of America being turned upside down, destroyed. And even before America gets destroyed, the scripture talks about, folks who want to go back to their own land, you know, and then those that can't, leave, that get stuck in here, will have to duke it out. The elect will be delivered out of Babylon and the one third, you know. So it's not going to be any salvation for whoever is caught on the kill list, the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai. Verse 2 says, and it shall be as with the people, so with the priest, as with the servant, so with his master. Alright? As with the maid, so with her mistress. As with the buyer, so with the seller. As with the lender, so with the borrower. As with the taker of usury, so with the giver of usury to him. So it's basically saying, the whole economy is gonna fall apart, man. That's basically what the point is. For those that think they serving the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai, going to all these so-called churches, they're being deceived, all right? So the Most High is going to get rid of all these so-called structures that folks like to call churches in this place, man. The businesses, the trading houses, the restaurants, manufacturing houses, they're all going to be torn apart. Then verse 3 says, the land shall be utterly emptied and utterly spoiled, for the Lord Yahweh has spoken his word. Alright, so America is going to be emptied, man, with those nuclear missiles when they are being shot from the corners of the earth. Alright, so while America is burning, everything else is going to be burning too. You know, businesses getting destroyed, real estate investment getting destroyed, America's infrastructure getting destroyed. So you name it, dams burnt up, water evaporating, things like that. All right. So I got to another precept here. This is from the book of Proverbs. Just to keep it brief, it's going to be Proverbs chapter 20, verse 23. It says, diverse weights are an abomination unto the Lord Yahweh, and a false balance is not good. All right. So the scripture clearly says that whoever despises the scriptures will face the wrath of the Lord Yahweh. All right. So it's a waste of time, man, believing what these people have to say as per America's turning into plutocracy. It's always been that way, so, hey, the folks that think America was a so-called great democracy, they're just deceiving themselves. So this is the book of Job, chapter 12. And go to verse 16. So it says, with him is strength and wisdom. The deceived and the deceiver are his, alright? So these elites, man, they're just a bunch of deceivers, they know how to corner the market, to their own advantage. They know how to spread false information to get people to spend their money on investment that's not going to do them any good, and then they come in and scoop it up for pennies on the dollar. They short the stock. They get put options, and then before you know it, the investment goes down. They make a quick profit, convert it into something else, and then hey, they make more money again. It's all about boom and bust. All right, so I'll play the video some more.
Still alive, and he is saying at least three powerful things about the plutocrats. One, that it is a plutocracy, that we are controlled. Our democracy is dominated by the wealthy. It operates for the benefit of the wealthy.
All this, Mr. Rumsfeld, what's his name? Volker, all these suckers are on the way up, man. They're all old, up in age. They're just waiting for the Lord to close the chapter.
The second thing he says is basically nothing can stand up to the swamp as it is currently composed, because people from all over who are powerful and wealthy come to Washington to try to do the wrong thing. And the third is his lament about good government. So this is someone who's quite serious about government, who has spent a lot of time that you don't see visibly trying to improve the status of the government, to get better people into the government and such. And he sees those efforts as being essentially corrupted. that public policy schools these days, he says, for example, are not actually functioning to produce good government folks.
So that's exactly, what is going on, man. Because all these colleges that have all these schools of public policy, school of foreign service, you know, business schools, they're all just breeding grounds for the next set of vultures that will be unleashed on the American people, because, hey, they got to pay the bills too. They got to live up to a certain status. They don't want to be making, $65,000 a year once they've gone to, a business school, get the MBA or whatever advanced degree they get. They don't spend all that time to come out and make 65,000 or 75,000. They want to be making at least 150,000. So they're gonna do everything they can cut whoever that's in their way. So it's terrible. They have these elites have so much power over America's educational system. They could also decide who's going to be the next president of a university is, the next dean of a medical school or business school. Certain professors or instructors got to be hired. They have so much influence in these universities. And that is they could decide, how scholarship money could be distributed. So it's messed up. It's not so I can't sugarcoat it, but it's messed up, man. You know, so-called police agencies don't have the might to go against the elite. Neither does the so-called top-notch law enforcement agencies in America have what it takes to go against the elites for all the damage they've done. So hey, it's all prophecy of Yahweh Shema Shai. It talks about the Egyptian shall fight against the Egyptian. So it's one of those elements of the civil war, man. Class warfare. So I get one last precept. It's just from the book of Proverbs. We start chapter 16 and go to verse 16. It says, "How much better is it to get wisdom than gold, and get understanding rather to be chosen than silver." Yep. So that's all that counts, Akim. Just make sure you understand that the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai, does not expect us, to be running around chasing after vanity. He desires that we go after His knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, which is present in the Holy Scriptures. And you can't depend on a system that's collapsing, that is not stable. When the market goes up and down, folks losing jobs, you know, companies are shutting down. How can you uh, describe that as a stable economy? When the economy is not stable, that lets you know you have unjust weights and unjust balances, that someone is rigging the market, you know. So I just say, Ka Halal Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem, Kwakadash, and double honor to the elders and apostles of Bill Stone who rule well. So I can understand, man, plutocracy is real in America as well as the oligarchy, you know. They can't they can't seem to relinquish that grip on power upon America, In fact, upon the whole earth. It's one of the reasons why war is being fought. The elites want more power. They want more people to be subjugated, you know, to their wills and desires. And then I saw another article online saying the U.S. Army, they fear another war is going to come around the corner around next year. So that's exactly what the scripture talks about, man. more wars and rumors of wars. So I can stay faithful, stay humble, be observant in these last days, man. Don't let the cares of this world rob you of your crown and Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai. So I can stay faithful, fight a good fight of faith, and just be diligent in the spirit. Shalom.